having welcome to today's webinar. And also, ACCUREX is a HR consultancy firm. Here we offer services such as HR outsourcing, recruitment, training, team building, and also people HRIS. And today's topic, today our trainer is Mary Wanyama, and she's going to do a presentation on workplace masterclass. Here, we're going to present how communication can make or break leadership credibility, and also share tools to help you lead with integrity and fairness. Our trainer, who is Mary Wanyama, she's experienced in this, and I hope she can take you over with this. The session is going to take about 45 minutes, and then we're going to have a Q&A session. And afterwards, you're going to have a feedback. Ask as many questions as possible. And also, if you have any questions, kindly raise your hand, or also you can ask them in the chat box. Thank you. Mary Wanyama, kindly take over.
Thank you so much,
You're welcome.
host,
Yes.
for your introduction. And the team have managed to join us today for a training that revolves around integrity, ethics, professionalism, and communication as a leader and also as an employee where you're working. So you are welcome, team. Feel free to interact, ask questions, just like host has mentioned it in the introductory statement. Feel free to share your comments in the chat box, and we will be ready, and we are ready to serve you. And let us make this, session to be more of engaging rather than just a lecture. So I know we have interacted before, and I'm not new here. I'm a trainer at ACCUREX, and I'm so happy today to have this session so that I can share with you what I have in regards to growing our skills, our knowledge, so that we can become better leaders, better, servants, or rather employees in whichever areas or professions that we hold. So this is the major to our topic of today, the topic of discussion. We are going to look at integrity, ethics, and professionalism in leadership communication. So this is a very also essential area, of learning that requires us as individuals who are, in various professions, and it cuts across various industries. You know, for those who are in the insurance, you'll find it's very important in the banking, in the communication. It cuts across. Let me just say all disciplines that revolves around matters related to career, and therefore we are going to gain something that is going to build us, to build our career, and even enhance our suitability for those roles that we hold or possess. We are going to look at the objective of this training. Faith, you saying something, Faith? Okay, thank you for muting. um the objective of this training is going to enable you, at the end of it, you will have gained the tools to lead conversations with integrity and impact. And at the end of it, also, you learn strategies to stay professional, even under pressure. We know we are going through, challenges in life. And anyone who will stand up and tell me that I don't go through any challenge, then you'd be lying. Each and every person goes through challenges, and these challenges may, arise from where we stay or where we live, or even in the office. And these challenges triggers what we call pressure. So if you are not keen or you do not have these skills, you might not be able to maneuver around such kind of, environment to, excel in your career or in your just general life, then this particular, training is going to help you build confidence in handling ethical dilemmas and tough calls. There's a situation, I'll give you a scenario, a situation where you find that, perhaps maybe you are a total orphan, and it happened that your uncle took care of you, and you grew up together with your cousin who is your uncle's firstborn. But since you are serious with academic and your future plans, you excelled, and now you hold a very senior position in in that organization where you are. But now your cousin, who never took, the study serious and the future plans, because perhaps he assumed that the dad or the parents had all the resources or all the wealth, he did not excel. And now the dilemma comes in where there is a vacant position in that organization. And now your uncle calls you out and says, yes, Faith, you know what? You are the CEO of company X, and you know very well that your cousin doesn't have a job opportunity. So I want you to fix your cousin here. You fix him in that position of a general manager, or you take a curse from me. So remember, this is your uncle who took care of you. So those are some of the dilemmas that you'll go through. And with the ethics, with the integrity, once you learn this, you realize that you'll be able to juggle around such kind of dilemmas. Then this training is also going to strengthen trust with the teams. Trust is very important. And once trust is broken, we normally say that to rebuild it, it's very difficult and it takes even ages. So definitely you need to cultivate it from the onset, from the start of your career. When you're starting up an internship or an attachment somewhere, you need to cultivate, that trust that comes from, you to the team members or the peers and the external partners. So this is just a major objective of this particular training today. At the end of it, you should be in a position to have acquired such kind of knowledge, and it will really propel your career to higher heights that you're looking forward to achieve. Or rather, if you are not into career or business, you know how to, maneuver around in this competitive world that you are living in. Now, the learning outcomes of this particular training is that you're going to look at a foundation of ethics. I mean, ethical communication, integrity in action, walking the talk, professionalism in high-stake moments, navigating ethical dilemmas and gray areas, building trust, fairness, and connection, then guardrails and everyday practices that are going to enable you to be a better and a good professional. So those are just the areas that you're going to focus on in our 2 days training. I hope you're ready to take up, the knowledge that I'm going to share with you. Now, before we just jump into the real act of, learning and trying to understand all these aspects that revolve around integrity and ethics at workplace to be a very good professional. Now, a question to you, team members. Assuming there is an invisible, assuming there is an invisible camera at your workplace and it's following you up wherever you go. It records your activities. There's someone with an muted mic. Could you please mute yourself, or you can raise your hand so that we can hear out what you're saying? We just want to. Okay. Someone.
Janet?
Yeah, just you can, the host, you can help us mute the person so that we can have a calm, a kind of reception uh, for the team to hear us clearly.
Okay.
Yeah, just mute. Perhaps she's not aware. You can just mute her. So my question was, assuming there's an invisible camera where you work, and this invisible camera keeps on following you up, what you do, what you say, and what you comment, in that office. And that video that you've been recorded via this invisible camera has to be played the following day. So, what is the one thing that you'll be happy about? What is this one thing that you'll be happy about it? Like you're saying, me as Grace, I am happy because I've done this. And what is that one thing that you want to improve? Just imagine, just bring it to your imagination where there is an invisible camera and it's following you up. Even when you walked in the office, the office kitchen, you go there to serve some, hot water, or you making some coffee for yourself in that kitchen, it is following you up. You go in another person's office, that camera is, just behind your back, and it records even the voices that you're making in terms of what you say, what you comment. What is that one thing that you'll be happy about it? Before we move, can we share? Let us make it a little bit interactive, Tim. You can say it, you can write in the chat box, what is that one thing that you'll be happy about? I would like to see what you're writing in the chat box. Anyone who has shared?
Not yet.
Okay.
Let me check it for you.
Okay, perfect. Anyone who is willing to share, or even verbally, without even writing in the, of course, we can give you some time to write in the chat box, but who is ready to share with us? Just direct, you raise your hand, or you can just raise your voice. We are ready to take. What is that one thing that you'll be happy about? Or all of us, we are kind of employees when our cameras, the footage of what we did the other day is played. You always, feel like, hiding yourself, because we're talking about integrity. I can see there's Odindo Griffin says that
That
one
I
he'll
Let
be
me help you.
perfect. Go ahead.
Uh, he says that I
Mm-hmm.
didn't use my mother tongue. I kept professional.
Thank you, Odindo.
There's also Caroline Odundo. She says I will be happy about working without being monitored.
Uh-huh.
There's Angel Martins. She says that my ability to sort out issues promptly.
Thank you so much, Angel Martins, for sharing. Carol and Griffin, thank you for all sharing. What that thing that you'll feel like, I'm so proud of myself because I did my duties. I performed my duties without someone to follow up. We have such individuals at workplaces whereby these individuals, you realize that they can only perform when there's somebody is monitoring them. Yeah. When we were in high school, someone used to comment on other people's character, and who could say that, if I were to be asked to write for you a recommendation, I'll say he works better at closer to a police station. So such kind of recommendation. So it means that when you are alone, and I always say that if you want to know that an individual is a perfect and a good person, you always figure out what you do when people are not seeing you. In most cases, we do pretend when people are watching us, when people are seeing what we are doing. But what is that one thing that you will do? And when you call yourself for a kind of monologue and a meeting, and you say that, hey, this thing, I was alone in that office, or maybe the whole department had gone for a leave or an off day, and I remain in that office, and you're proud of yourself of that one activity that you did. That is what brings out that aspect of integrity that you're going to look at today. and that ethical behavior, that professionalism that we need to gain as professionals to ensure that we're making better environment for each and every person to work. When you have integrity at workplace, you realize that the witch hunting and sabotage will be limited, because you basically have that, respect for the others, and you have, that empathy for the other team members that you're working with. Now we move on. Just we are going to look at a case study, and my major focus is on Kenyan, case study, what has happened before. And I'll be looking at, all of us, I wanted us to share what happened with KEMSA during COVID-19 in 2020. And we want to pick out those aspects of integrity, and we see how they have really impacted the health sector, and how does that relate to our own work, approaches as professionals who are coming up, or those leaders who are holding the most, the senior most kind of roles at workplace. So I'm going to play. If you don't get the sound, please let me know, so that we are able to be on the same page. So this is just a case study from KEMSA that is going to guide us on, this training, so that we can have a hands-on understanding of what it means by, this aspect of integrity, ethics, professionalism, and leadership communication. What impact does have on the whole organization when they don't possess the integrity and the ethical characters that you're talking about. So let's look at it. Let's see.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I agree. The Health Committee in the National Assembly has up to now held a number of sittings probing the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority on the alleged COVID-19 corruption scandal, especially on procurement of personal protective equipment. Following their probe on the presence of unused PPEs in KEMSA warehouses, a committee led by its chair, Sabina Chege, on Tuesday paid a visit at industrial area offices to find out whether the equipment worth billions could be traced or not.
We are going through a difficult moment to understand the reverse procurement that was done by KEMSA. And so the second category of items that were procured here, they were brought to the warehouses, they were negotiated, and they are not yet paid. And also we have a third category of items that have been received by KEMSA in these warehouses. They have not negotiated with the suppliers, and also they have not been paid. So that's part of the verification investigations we are doing, to try and understand this reverse procurement and to see whether these items are here.
And although the PPEs were in place, some local suppliers are to date yet to be paid, something that has raised eyebrows. At the same time, it was noted that the taxpayer could lose millions of shillings with the equipment having depreciated in value.
Tomorrow we'll meet with the management once again. We'll meet also with the suspended managers also tomorrow in the afternoon, and also with PPOA, because there are some issues we really need to understand on this reverse procurement that was done by KEMSA, and especially on the people who they have supplied, the items are here. They have not negotiated. So at what price are we talking about now with the current market prices? So that's one of the biggest dilemma, and would be wanting an explanation from the management.
The committee also decried KEMSA's capacity to cater for all counties as far as supply of the PPEs is concerned, even as it urged the government to disburse the equipment.
There's a lot of debate, and I think the Senate were discussing it with the governors on the capacity of KEMSA to supply the counties. So this is will be part also of our report on our investigations and our findings on capacity of KEMSA to supply counties. Also noting that also counties, some of them also owe KEMSA a lot of money.
Nixon Kisaka, K24 Evening Edition.
Okay, that is all. I hope you picked something from the case study. Just a minute. So I believe that you have picked, just a minute. I hope that you have picked something as a matter of integrity are concerned. I hope you have, understood, the challenge that the Ministry of Health was going through during COVID-19, and the challenges that were being raised. And when you look at, that case study, I just picked, it was a 2020 case study to bring us to, to this page of integrity. You realize that there was, contradiction, like when it comes to communication with the KEMSA team, the management, to the extent where they were suspended, you realize that there was no consistency in whatever each and every person was saying. From this case study, we realize that uh, KEMSA KEMSA was tasked with procuring the PPE, which was very essential during COVID. We are all aware that during COVID, it was even a crime for an individual to walk without a mask. And now, considering the medical, professionals who are in the country and under the government, they were required to have protective gears for them to handle those individuals who were, the victims of COVID-19. But you realize that there was a communication gap from the video and the explanation that we have gotten from Chege. You realize that there was communication gap. The leaders failed to provide clear and consistent information, which raises the eyebrows when it comes to aspect of integrity. They were not able to communicate clearly in terms of the procurement of this PPE kind of, materials that were required by them. How can you procure? How can you possess, let's say, get the goods before you even negotiate for a price? It raises a question. You have not negotiated. You can imagine you go to Safaricom, you are looking for maybe a mobile phone, the latest. And then you get the mobile phone, and then you have not negotiated for your company. You just possess it, and you're looking forward to pay. And there is no pricing, there is no negotiation. It raises question. This leads to integrity, questioning the integrity of this particular, institution, KEMSA. How comes there is no clear communication? There's contradictory statement from the government official which created confusion. You realize that the management, one team is mentioning about this and the other team is mentioning. So there is no aspect of consistency. When you're talking about integrity, we are expecting to see things like, consistency. We're expecting to see things like honest. We are expecting to see things like trust. We're expecting things to see things like accountability. And in this question, in this matter of KEMSA, there is no that, clear communication. We are not, if you're talking about contradictory kind of statements, then there's no consistency in whatever they are communicating. So it means that even in that, the whole procuring process, each and every person was working out for their own benefits. And that's why it raises the eyebrows when it comes to integrity, ethical behaviors. You are supposed to do the right thing. If you have been, mandated by, that responsibility of procuring, office material, you're supposed just to procure simple thing, like even printing papers. And you cannot communicate the clear price of a printing paper that a ream is going for 550 shillings or a ream is going at 800 shillings. You are contradicting yourself. In the writing report, maybe to the top manager, you're saying you're procuring a ream at 1,050 shillings. But when the receipt comes, the procurement of this rim paper is, not rhyming with what you wrote down. It raises the eyebrows on the aspect of integrity. There was also lack of transparency, damaged public trust in Kenya. I know each and every person is very much aware that it really raised eyebrows. And apparently we are having cases that are going on in this country right now. This one I just picked the kind of, in the archive about KEMSA. But which other, sectors are we experiencing some, issues when it comes to integrity? Let's talk about procurement and everything. Anyone who has an idea of what is going on in the country, apparently when it comes to integrity and this institution, totally it's not doing very well. Do you have any idea? There are so many. It's going on. And it's really raising our questions, our eyebrows, about, the integrity of this particular sector. Anyone with an idea, you can just pick. Here we listen, but we don't judge. So you're not Sha. Thank you, Sha. Sha is doing very well. Sha. When it comes to the issues of integrity, we have questions. There's a question that Nduale needs to answer, and we're not getting the answers as a country.
County
County
procurements,
There's another
AHL.
one. There's so much that is happening. Thank you for those who are sharing. There's so much that is happening to the extent that we even lack, trust. The moment communication that has been passed across is contradicting with what we know or what we expect, it breaks the trust. And you find that most people right now don't really trust that, issue of Sha. I don't know, it's the whole story. And even before Sha, it was sometimes back, discovered that NHIF had even staff as, holding low positions as receptionists, reporting to work with the chopper. And it raises that question, like, how much is a receptionist supposed to earn in Kenya in a parastatal? And how much is a chopper? Such kind of questions. The moment people start raising eyebrows, you realize that they have lost trust in that industry. And when they lose trust in that industry, you are not going to say anything that they will believe. You need now to start afresh and start working on yourself as an industry, as an organization, as an individual. This thing is narrowed down even to an individual aspect, whereby today you are not a man of your own words. Today you promise your team, you are a manager, you promise your team that, okay, we are going to have the 13th salary, because I can see this year 2025 you are doing very well. We all know what is 13th salary. So we get to December, we want to close for Christmas, and each and every person walks to the their account, and they find that there's no 13th salary. They have lost trust in you, because you are not a man of your words, and it's going to really cost them. So the ethics and integrity lesson that we learn, that honesty matters. Leaders must present facts clearly. If you're a leader, if you're an individual, just make sure that you present facts clearly. Don't contradict yourself, because you're going to lose the trust that comes from this particular audience that you're serving. Professionalism counts. Defensive or reversion communication worsens situations. We have such kind of employees who will always throw blame games to one another. So integrity in action, admitting mistake early, could have, preserved credibility. At times, it calls for an individual to be accountable. If there was a mistake as an individual, in whichever position you are in whichever organization you are in, it is always good to acknowledge. Be accountable for those mistakes. Up to that point, I hope we are all together and we are trying to connect now that aspect of, integrity, ethics, and communication and professionalism. Now, what is ethical communication? Basically, when are looking at ethical communication, we basically want to look at, being truthful, being respectful, and responsibility. Are you kind of employee who can be, termed as a truthful? Yeah. There's one, there's one politician in Kenya who calls himself a truthful man. I don't know if you know him, but if you know him, well and good. He calls himself a truthful man. Are you a kind of person who is truthful? For example, the other day was it yesterday or the other day we are being told that it is only Lake Turkana that has, fish that dies because of old age. I don't know if you heard that or it was just, people say a lot of things on media, and I don't know. I don't know the validity of the statement, because was it the statement said yesterday or the other day? Is it true? It was said like that. That Lake Turkana is the only lake where fish die of old age. So such kind of information, I really like the statements that comes from our president. Don't throw stones at me, because sometimes you don't take life too serious. You enjoy sometimes just seeing the fun of what is happening, because it is also funny. It's also funny when you're being told that a fish is died of old age, and you wonder what is the old age of a particular fish. Perhaps for those who studied agriculture and fishery, they have a clear understanding of that. So are you a kind of person who can be termed as a respectful person? And at times I normally say that respect is normally earned. You cannot force people to respect you, and it starts by yourself understanding who you are and what people gets out of you. It will bring that aspect of respect. When you're a kind of an individual where you are not trustworthy, you are not even faithful, you're not even honest, trust me, when it comes to matter of respect, you won't earn the respect, because there's a certain level that people have placed you at that particular point. It is you who has set the standards. I normally take an example of a boyfriend who just broke up with a girlfriend who termed herself an understanding girlfriend, and she never used to request to be taken to Kempinski, or rather to be taken to Serena. And they break up with this boyfriend, and the boyfriend now gets a new girlfriend, and you see them going to Serena, Kempinski, those 5 stars are over Stanley, and you've never been taken there by this particular boyfriend. You start asking yourself, like, I did everything, I was the best, and even he never took me to this. It is the standard. So when it comes to professionalism, that standard that you have set for yourself as an individual, it will bring out that aspect of people respecting you. Are you a respectful person? Are you a kind of an individual who says today this, and you have set standards so low to the expense that you are a manager and your team members do not even recognize you as a manager, because you come to work, you drunk, and you're still in your hangovers, and perhaps you're still even still in that mood, you're smelling that spirits, not even good alcohol. You have set such standards, and people will not trust you. Your team members will feel like you're already a failure, and they will not respect you. So when it comes to ethical communication, it matters because it's going to build the trust, it's going to reduce the conflicts at workplace, and it will protect the reputation of an individual. A good example is Patrick Amoth. During COVID-19, you realize that he was consistent when in his communication. He could come and give reports which was consistent. And through that, even he earned respect. That showed that he was a trustworthy kind of person. He was a respectful, and he was honest. And based on that conversation that he was popping or giving out, you realize that Amoth was able even to gain a promotion, a growth in his career line. So what does that tell us as professional? It means that sometimes we lose on opportunities because we have not built this integrity, this trust, this the honest, this all basket of ethics and integrity. So in other words, ethics is knowing the difference between what you have a right to do and what is right to do. This is according to this scholar called Porter Stewart. Now, when you're talking about ethical communication in practice, basically, when you have careless words, it's going to damage. And at times, we normally say that, you can say some words, and as much as even you're going ahead to, ask for forgiveness for what you said, at times you may not, erase all of them from the people's mind. And whenever people sees you, they will always be associating you to what you said, even though you said that, I ask for forgiveness. So when it comes to ethical communication, I will advocate for a professional who will think before they say, who will be in a position to put themselves in the shoe of the recipients before they utter any words. Sometimes we are overwhelmed with the anger, and we have been taught here by trainer Kevin about, emotional intelligence. So these aspects, these things that we are studying here or we are learning here, we should be in a position to put them into practice, because at the end of it, if you're lacking that emotional intelligence, you will utter words because of the situation, because of the pressure. Remember, work comes with the pressure, and you are pushed on the wall, and you need to say, and you throw out words that are even, they will spoil even your reputation. You will lack the honest, you lack the, that consistency, and at the end of it, you find that you have lost yourself as an individual before even it damages the reputation of the whole organization. For instance, Safaricom has been consistent, and at times it communicates, and I like the way it does. At least let us comment on its work when it comes to fraud. They will be clear, and they will tell you if you lost your money through maybe M-Pesa transactions. They will be clear. As much as it's going to hurt you, they will be clear, and they will tell you that we are not able. From this point, we are not able to help you out. That means that they are very clear in their consistency in their communication, and they're very honest. They are not going to help you beyond that state where someone has already taken up your money, you send by mistake, and they have already withdrawn, and they leave it like that. They will be transparent, which builds its reputation. So we cannot say that, of course, to the person who has lost will feel it's bad, but Safaricom is transparent enough to the extent of saying that, we are not able to help you at this point. It is very important to communicate on that ground. Now, when you're talking about integrity in action, walking the talk, honesty is that in tough moment, it's very important that at times in tough moments, leaders earn trust by delivering truth. Let us take an example of the former Chief Justice, leave alone the Mtunga, the Maraga. During the election, it was a tough moment for him to make a judgment that this, election is a null and void, and we cannot continue with these results. We need to go back to the ballot. It was very tough, but for sure, he was honest with his own opinion, and he stood for his. No one manipulated him, and that one really earned him respect. When we're talking about integrity, you possess the honest. Can people trust you? Are you accountable for your action? And the ethical behavior, even those morals that you are possessing as an individual, it is going to build you. So silence or sugarcoating erodes credibility. Sometimes people choose to keep quiet, and they say even silence is also an answer. But what have you, generated at the end of it? Because people need an explanation. If you look at the former Chief Justice William Mtunga, he openly addressed corruption during his, time in 11 to 16. He addressed corruption, that it is, it is a problem, and we need to openly and talk about it. So in other words, when you're talking about integrity, transparency versus confidentiality, share what is important or what the public needs to hear. We are not saying that you are being honest enough to even report what is supposed to be confidential for the organization. Of course, each and every organization has its confidential kind of information. And when it comes to pressure, we need also to be professionals who can assess what to give out to the public and what to hold for the company, because at the end of it, we also need to protect the image of our company. But the most important thing, have you answered what the public want? Like right now, the public wants to know what is happening with the SHA, and they want the responsible parties. The Cabinet Secretary for Health, Mr. Duale, needs to give a clear explanation of what is happening, the problem. That is what the public needs to know. So it is, we are being advised that protect sensitive or strategic information responsibly. There's that information that is required to be protected, and as an organization, so you as an individual who are at the forefront to represent this organization in public and share information in the event that there is crisis, what are you doing? It starts from that point. And remember, even through that press release that you're going to give, you are all going to build yourself the respect, the honest, the trust, or you lose yourself. And that's why you normally see that even some leaders have been poached from company X to company Y based on the information they unveiled to the public regarding the organization that they were working for at that particular time. So basically, it is very important for us to be very careful when it comes to the communication and the aspect of integrity. Know what to give out, know what to address, be very honest, be a kind of person who is, consistent in what they are saying. Then there's always need for you to own your own mistake. This is just a repetition of what I've already said. Admitting error strengthens respect. When you admit the mistakes, that doesn't show that you are weak. It shows that you are an employee who is, who stands, with that integrity of, being accountable for your own action. Then you create a culture where teams feel safe to speak. Then modeling accountability, words and action must align. Now, some people will speak today this statement as a leader, and the following day, their actions are contradicting. So be a kind of a leader or an employee who is consistent when it comes to your communication, your conversation. Whatever information you're giving out must align with your action. Let us not be individuals or professionals who camouflage at workplace. There are people who act like chameleons at workplace, and they normally say that is, the organization politics, and that is how we win. It is always good to, your words to align with what you speak. Some individual will go to the HR and they play victims of certain circumstances at workplace. And when they leave the HR office, they meet the fellow colleague, they act different, totally different. And even the comments that I'm making, you're even wondering, like, is this the same person who said this? So you realize that you are not consistent in your action in terms of, the words and the action that you're taking place. They're not aligning. Show responsibility rather than shifting the blame. Don't be a kind of a profession who will be shifting blames from one department to the other, or one leader to the other, or one colleague to the other. Own that mistake. If it happened within your docket, then find a way of working out on that, on such kind of mistakes. Then another thing is professionalism in high-stake moments, composure under pressure. Do you have that intelligence, emotional intelligence? Yes, stay calm. It is always good to stay calm. You listen actively. Avoid reactive language. When it comes to, communication in terms of, professionalism, and you're putting integrity and ethics in one sentence, be a calm kind of person. Listen actively and avoid reactive language. There are some people who are very reactive. They lack what we call emotional intelligence. When a situation happens or they're under a crisis, they react. And after they have reacted, they go sit down and think about how they reacted and regret again. Don't be such kind of a profession who will react and then go sit down and think about how you reacted. Be a kind of person who will be a calm and collected individual before you react to any circumstances, before you react to any situation. Can you think about the repercussion of what you're saying, the outcome? Then you are ready now to react. In which manner? Of course, in a professional manner where you are holding your integrity is on this hand, and the ethical, those norms, principles are on the other hand. Emotional intelligence is very crucial. Is crucial in tense situation. That's when we determine that this person has IQ. We learned that last week in our training, and I'm sure we are much equipped. Some people may lack that, but it comes with the practice. Those who are asking, how can I change the way I react? I normally say that, human mind is all about building yourself. If you can just hold yourself in a certain corner and say, this is my personality. In fact, where we come from, you're kind of stereotyping even where you come from. You say, where we come from, people do like this. And you have just stuck in that cocoon kind of, shell, and you don't want to come out. You are not better. You're not going to better yourself. Be a kind of person who is ready to learn. And if you feel that this is my weaker point or this is my weakness, be able to come out. I always say that having a weakness is not a problem, but now the problem is realizing that you have a weakness and you're not doing anything to walk out of that weakness, like to build yourself and overcome that weakness. So for example, during election, tension is normally there. Tension is normally there. And I've heard even people saying that, the country is now in labor and we're wondering, are we going to have a baby boy or a baby girl? And during that time, it's intense. So these commissioners who hold such dockets during that time, they're normally under pressure. And even if you're given that role, you find that it's not as easy as the way we see and we act. But you realize that that aspect of calmness and maintaining credibility amidst of the pressure helps them, to overcome it. And they communicate, they have that consistent communication. Tactics in conflict and crisis, make sure that you focus on issues and not personality. Now, perhaps you had an issue or maybe a concern with a colleague and there's pressure. So instead of you focusing on the problem that is there, the company is not making sales, now you focus on the personality. Perhaps this person, maybe you had just personal concern issues, and now to solve that problem becomes another issue. Be a kind of an individual when it comes to communication in professionalism with integrity and ethics. You are a kind of person who are creating a solution and not a problem. In crisis, if you are not keen enough, you might create another problem rather than even solving the problem that has brought you there. So raising the bar in digital professionalism, you realize that also communication runs in, when it comes to office communication, in most cases we use, the professional platforms like emails. Let them be clear, let them be concise, and let them be respectful. Some people have very poor communication skills. Even salutation in that email, they don't. Receive the file attached. A professional, okay, you want to make things simple and easier, but for sure, just salutation. Dear Washington, I hope you're doing well today. Okay. And then you bring in that, kindly find, attach this file that you had requested. Is that too hard to ask? Professionals, eh? Is that too hard to ask? You just throwing emails, and there are people, even it's not that I've experienced that there are people, even salutation is not there, and you wonder, these people, like, we're just talking about respect and putting yourself in the shoe of the recipient. Those small things, they will help you gain the respect, and you will overlook them and say, that is an issue. Si alitaka tu file. Okay, he just wanted the file, but what image are you showing? In communication, that is when people are able to know who you are. So what kind of image are you portraying that Mary is? If I send an email and say, of course, Washington asked for a file for a particular maybe course, and then I just shared the attached without salutation, it will really say a lot about who is Mary. Avoid gossip. Yeah, the gossip. Of course, sometimes in communication, they normally say grapevine is very key or better, but it depends also with the profession and how it's going to help that organization. But it's not necessary, because at workplace, by the way, you have not gone there to make friends. You have gone there to perform your duties and also respect your colleagues and get your paycheck and go. That is the bitter truth about it. Do the right thing. What brought there? If it's growth, it's growth. But now you find that we have lost that direction, and now we have formed groups of friendship. Trust me, at workplace, that friendship, at times, to me, I say, it is not friendship. They're acquaintances. I mean, we call it acquaintance. Yeah, I think that is the English language. The people you are meeting along, and the moment you leave that company, that's when you realize that the friendship was not there, because people are still moving on with their own stuff. So stop gossiping around with your team members in your communication. You're using slang. It's not good, especially when you're writing professional emails or communications. Sarcasm, workplace. Start maybe being stereotyping certain community or certain individual from a certain of course, we can do that jokingly when we are outside the office. Of course, there are those team buildings to enjoy. But it's always good to remain professional in our communication so that we can maintain that integrity that holds that honest. I'll repeat about the honest, the trust, the accountability, the consistency. That is what we are looking for when it comes to ethical standards at workplace. Virtual meetings, dress professionally, mute when not speaking. Okay, so if you're unmuting yourself, you see now being out of the order of ethical standards in workplace when it comes to professional communication. So make sure that you adhere to such kind of things. When you're talking about slang language, you write an email, you say you get it. If you don't get it, forget about it. You see, that is a slang, such kind of language, it's not a kind of professional language. So how do we navigate ethical dilemmas, choosing the right path? When truth feels risky, ethical leadership means telling the truth with courage. Sometimes it gets to a point where you have to tell the truth with courage. Or avoid twisting facts, because it's going to damage the long-term trust that people had in you or the whole organization. Remember, an organization is made up of individuals or people. So if you are losing it in terms of trust, it's not just you who is making a loss alone, but also the organization at large is losing it. So decision guides for leaders, it is always good, to ask, is it true? What you're saying, is it true? Is it necessary? Or is it fair? Through that, you'll be able to gauge your decisions. For instance, an employee comes to your desk to report a fellow employee of misconduct. Is it you're in that position to make a solution? You have to provide a solution and give it as the decision to that report that has just landed on your desk. So always ask, is it true? What your allegation, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it fair? So that at least there's that aspect of transparency in the communication from one party to the other, so that any other involved party is not just being judged for the mistakes that they have not made. Then we have ethical leadership in communication. In other words, spotting bias and inclusive language. So what you're trying to say is that spotting bias and, sorry for that, there was some interruption. Spotting bias and inclusive language avoid gender, ethnic, or status-based stereotype. This thing is we have lived with us as Kenyans. We have been in it for years, and we like, ethnicity, that thing of, Luyas are like this, Kikuyus are like this. I don't know what those things. Some people may take it lightly, but some people who don't take, jokes lightly, they may not like it. And if you are a kind of a leader who comes up with this such kind of stereotyping, you will not you'll not only, lose your trust or respect with your employees, but you're going to, mess the organization. Just a minute. Thank you. So use neutral, inclusive terms that respect diversity. It is very essential. For example, some companies now use team member instead of junior staff, okay, to avoid hierarchy bias. Responsibilities in times of crisis. You need to speak with calm, clarity, and compassion. Share verified facts, avoid speculation. Remember, silence or careless words can worsen fear. So make sure that in your ethical leadership communication, you are a kind of leader who avoids such kind of biasness when it comes to gender. We say female cannot do this particular job. We are in an era where ladies are being, we are saying what a man can do, a woman can do, of course, in a professional perspective. The other areas, I don't know about it. I can't talk about that because I'm not a profession in that area. But when it comes to professionalism, let us treat our colleagues with respect. Let us not be a kind of individuals who will stereotype our junior staff, or who will stereotype the colleagues that you are working with. Then you need to speak with calm, clarity, and compassion. So building trusts and psychological safety. Of course, psychological safety is a culture where teams members feel safe. Are you a kind of a leader who your junior staff will feel more safe in your hands? Or you're kind of a leader who will, cause frustrations? I've worked in firms where even junior staff meeting with the director at the corridors is an issue. But tell me why it should be an issue for me to meet with the director in the corridor, and when I see the director run away. There's something. And we shouldn't go that direction. Can you just create that culture where can we just show that culture where people feel comfortable? Our junior staff are much comfortable in what we are, giving them in terms of leadership. Build innovation, collaboration, and accountability. In other words, bring that platform for the employees to be innovative, because if you have laid that background of trust, even when I had an idea that, this will really contribute to the growth of an organization and will be termed as an innovation, I'll be able and free to share it. Then open and respectful dialogue. It is always good to encourage questions, feedback, get the feedback. We are in an era where technology has taken control of the whole world, like in terms of communication. And even if you wanted this feedback from your staff or from your colleague, there's a way you can even get with anonymity, whereby the email, there is no link to who sent it, and you are able to understand it without being sugar coated. We all like being associated with good things, and we will not want negative feedback. But remember that negative feedback that you're getting from your junior staff, it's going to help you as a leader, because at the end of it, you need to know the reality. And like in my previous session, when we were talking about Gen Z employees and just new stuff, you realize that these individuals, this generation that is now coming up, the Gen Z and the Alpha, they don't have those, a room for filters. So at the end of it, Can you encourage that openness for you to get feedback without even if they are going to say facts that are going to hurt you? I'm very much sure that sometimes negative feedback is always good because it's going to make you better yourself. If someone said, Mary, today you are short-tempered, of course it will hurt me to some extent, but when I'm a person who wants to grow myself and build myself, I'll go sit down and ask myself, why did this person say that I'm short-tempered, and is there anything that I can do on this my temperamental character so that I can improve myself? So same should apply to leaders, even the organization. Let us be in a position to encourage that feedback. Even the tone that you are using, that communication is very good. You need also to listen actively as a leader, because it portrays that ethical leadership. Be an active listener. Don't just be somebody who has that stereotype that, Mary is always coming to my desk with the complaint. So you keep on, complaining left, right, and center. Then listen to understand, not just respond. Now we have people who listen to respond and not understand. Are you a kind of a leader who listen to, understand, or ask yourself that question? Like when someone asks a question, where do you come from? This person has already an answer. Why are you asking me? So there's a different someone who listens to understand. If I asked today, you ask me, Mary, where do you come from? And then I tell you, why are you asking? So that shows that I listened to answer and I never listened to understand. Because if I listen to understand, I will understand that you asked me, where do I come from? And my answer should align with what I understood. But another leader will listen just to answer because they have, stereotyped you that you are such kind of person who like complaining. Fostering culture of inclusion, value contribution from all levels of staff. It is very essential. It's very necessary. You can have a junior staff who has good ideas that will propel your growth. And you can also have a leader, a leader who will learn from this junior. You can have a junior staff who has very good idea that will really propel the growth of the organization. And it will even help you as a leader. But if you're kind of person who will just brush off what the junior staff wants to contribute to the organization, you realize that you are shutting that door and you're not listening with that aspect of, understanding and seeing them where they're going. We are almost winding up. I can see our time. Establishing communication standards, of course, to improve, make sure that you're consistent in the tone, the clarity, the respect builds credibility. Make sure that you are earning the respect and you're not losing it. Align with organizational values. If values are integrity in every organization, in most of these organizations, you'll never miss on integrity. And have you ever asked yourself that almost all these organizations, when it comes to values, at some point you'll find this integrity. Even if it's not highlighted as an independent value, it is under a particular value. Have you ever asked yourself about that? It is because it is necessary. It is necessary in all, operations of any organization. We are talking about accountability. We are talking about honest. We are talking about trustworthy and consistency. And that is what all organizations want to see. No, for example, no tolerance for discriminatory jokes or gossip in official communication. In official communication, let us not start now bringing in those, the discriminatory jokes. We have discriminatory jokes. I was just watching a certain clip where a lady was complaining. He was just passing, and he's an albino. He was complaining that this guy decides, there's a certain guy who decides to call out the name, you albino. That is a disability, and people should be respected. You cannot just say because I have, maybe I am blind, and you start now referring me to Mary, that blind lady. I'm calling you blind lady. No, let us not use those kind of discriminatory jokes or gossips in the official communication. Let us be professional who will really foster environment where each and every person will feel respected, and that integrity will be, kind of felt. Then the daily habits to that reinforces integrity. Of course, simple, consistent practices. We have respond to the emails promptly. Don't be a kind of person who will respond to an email when it has taken, ages. Be ready to serve, because you are in that position and the organization, the management has entrusted you with that role. So prompt respond to emails and communication in a respectful way is very important. Check before sharing information. It is always good also to proofread what you have written. Reread it. Reread it and check what we are sharing is good. Don't be a kind of person who will be sending emails with the errors left, right, center. Make sure that whatever you are sharing, and if it's a document, if there's a third party who can look in that document and help you, check on the errors, depending in the team that you belong to, before even to share to the respective kind of senior team, it is advisable. Don't be a kind of person who is full of error. And you wrote in your CV at I'm a detailed oriented, yeah, a detail oriented with full errors, left, right, center, grammar errors, and you graduated, you call yourself a graduate with 5 years experience. Avoid such kind of things, because at the end of it, those small things, those errors, those problems that you're creating for yourself, they are going to define who you are, whether you like it or not. You'll go ahead and saying sio kizungu inafanya kazi, ni mimi nafanya kazi, but trust me, it is making you who you are, and the respect will arise on those tiny things. Then give credit for ideas. Yeah, if you're a leader, give comments. Comment on what is good. Keep promises even on small tasks. Encourage a speak up culture. Make sure that people are talking. Leaders can support the young staff, just to ensure that the culture is a kind of supportive to the junior staff. So that is all for today. I've taken a stretch. Let me welcome back host so that she can pick it from there before I answer the questions. Thank you, Mercy, for the claps. And there's
Okay.
a room for questions. Yeah.
Thank you, Mary. That was a wonderful presentation. Now we are at the Q&A session. Kindly, if you have any question, you can go forward.
Anyone with a question, you can just maybe speak it verbally, or you can do it in writing in the chat box. We are here to respond to it.
If there's no further question, I'd like to thank you all for attending today's webinar. And we also issue the certificate of participation. If you want that certificate, kindly complete the feedback. There is a link in the chat box. And if you have any inquiry or you want further support, you can reach us out through the number. It is also in the chat box, but for clarification, it is 0715 7676. And also there's another one, which is 0784 989898. Thank you all for attending the webinar. See you next week for the next webinar. Thank you.
Okay, there's a question here. Washington says, what is a better way to show integrity? Just a minute, I read it again. I lost it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can read it for you. What's
Yes.
a better way to show integrity and professionalism?
What is the better way to show integrity and professionalism? First of all, thank you for the question, Washington Woga. Whenever you join any organization, there is always code of conduct for conduct. The code of conduct of that particular organization. It is very essential for you to not just sign the contract, carry the code of conduct, and go and keep it at home or in your shelf. Make sure that you go through the code of conduct and understand what are the do's and the don'ts of the organization. The moment you understand the do's and the don'ts of the organization, you'll stay in the track. You'll not miss it. You'll not lose it. And when it comes to just general conduct, always consider about honest. How honest are you in that profession that you are holding? If you are a procurement officer, when it comes to tendering processes, are you a kind of person who is asking for, some tips from, not even tips, from some cash from the tenderers? Do we call them the tenderers? Yeah, the tender individuals, those who want to get that tender. Are you a kind of person who is asking and extracting money from them before you offer them? So you're checking on yourself as an individual first of all. Are you honest? Are you trustworthy? When you're asked about, a particular aspect or an email to be drafted at 2 p.m., and 2 p.m. you have not drafted, you have not even reached out to your supervisor to inform them that you missed out to share this email because of this and this. Or you are kind of person who is, a man of your own word. Check on your accountability, your actions in that office. Are you accountable for your mistakes? And if you're doing good, can you comment on yourself and say that I'm doing good? Then when it comes to consistency, are you a kind of person who is consistent in what they are saying? Or you're a kind of person who will lie today? There's some people who can really lie. They can really lie. Today they say this, and tomorrow they say this. And whatever they say today, even if you remind them what they said yesterday, they will still say, it is not me. I did not. I'm not talking about your leader in this country. They will not be accountable for their action. They will lie. They can lie. So you realize that integrity, they're losing that. So Washington, I hope I've been able to answer you that. Then Emmanuel says, how do you assess integrity during interview? There are so many aspects depending on the recruitment process of each and every organization. Sometimes they will ask you a question that is on your resume. And remember, we are in an era where even HR officers, consultant, will ask you to revampish your resume and tailor it to suit that particular role that you're applying for. But when you go to the interview, you are blank. You don't know. So they will even ask you a question, Emmanuel, that is in your resume, and you're not able to answer. So you realize that this person is not consistent in their communication. Whatever is in your resume should rhyme with what they are asking you and what you're answering, in other words. If they say that you lied that you worked in organization X from 2013 to 2015, but when they ask you that, you said you worked at Safaricom, and you say that, yes, I was there in 2015. So it is contradicting, because you're not consistent in your communication. So in the interview, there are specific questions that they will pull out, and this one comes from your resume, just to gauge whether you are a trustworthy person or a liar, because they are going to ask. Like, there's a joke that I was seeing, that someone was asked in an interview, you said you are at Harvard University, tell us about it. And the interviewee said, I was there for my cousin's graduation. So that lack of consistency. Do you issue certificate, Tafi? No, Mercy? No. It is just a matter of, isn't it, the host, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, just for free. You share contact details, and they will be able to reach out to you, your email, and how you want the names to appear like in your certificate. Any other person whom the question is you have, and perhaps you want to end it? Ask questions. I'm here ready for those integrity questions and ethical kind of standards. If not, thank you so much. I appreciate your presence here. Thank you, Mercy. Thank you so much, team.
Okay. If that's all, have a good afternoon.
Okay, please. Thank you, Janet. Thank you so much.